Hey, everybody. Welcome back to my Zero Carb Life. I'm Kelly Hogan, and I am joined today by a group member, Sherry. Sherry, we have looked at each other on camera for a long time now, and I love you. And I have been asking, how many times do you think I've asked you for an interview? Like, at
A
least
lot.
a lot, at least five, because you keep making posts on Facebook or you'll speak up in the group, and I'm always like, Sherry, you want my microphone? You should tell this to people. And I get it. It was was there just sort of a hesitancy because it's YouTube?
Yeah, and a lot of nerves. I've never done anything like this. And I kept telling myself, I'm not at my goal yet. I should wait. But my journey is my journey. And I'm down 155 pounds from my heaviest. And that's a lot to celebrate.
It really is. One of the number one reasons I get turned down by people for an interview like this is because people will say, I'm not at my goal weight. I'm not at my goal weight. I'm like, hardly anyone is. It's not like, you
Right.
suddenly glow when you hit a certain number. Typically, what happens is people will hit that number and then go, I thought this would look a little different. I actually think my new goal is, and there's just like this constant chasing. Or they'll say, I hit my goal, but now I've got this loose skin. I've got to work on that. Or now I have wrinkles. I have to work on that. It's like many people never feel that they're going to be somehow worthy enough to share their story. And people don't need a perfect model to come share the story. They just need some hope and some help. So I'm proud of you for coming on today, finally.
I- Me too. And part of the reason I decided to do it is because I figured if you kept asking, there must be something that I could share that might help someone.
Yes. Yeah, I don't just hound everybody like that, Sherry. Just occasionally. Okay, so let's backtrack. I've got several questions I want to ask, but the first is what brought you to carnivore?
Well, I've always struggled with my weight since I was a teenager. Uh, by the time I graduated high school, I was already a size 16. So
Oh,
I've always been heavy. And by the time I was in my 30s, I was over 200 pounds. And at my heaviest in my 40s, I hit 350.
wow.
Um, it was then that I realized I had to make some changes. This was back in 2009. I know I've shared this with you before in the group that at the same time that you went all in on carnivore and just, had found the right path, I was just figuring out I needed to make some changes.
Yeah.
I had, um, I was married at the time, and my husband was also very obese, and we just sort of got obese together. But I had realized none of my clothes fit, and my favorite place to shop back then was Dress Barn. They had plus size clothes. And so I thought, well, let's go to Dress Barn. I went to my favorite local Dress Barn, and their largest size at that time was 26, 28. And I left that store realizing nothing there fit me. It was all too tight. And I went and sat in my car and I cried. And I thought, how did I get this way? I don't even know who I am anymore. I don't recognize myself. And I also thought, how does nothing in a place called Dress Barn not fit me?
Oh, Sherry.
So even though I was crying, I could still see the humor in that. And I immediately went home and made changes. But the only thing I knew to do at the time was Atkins. Low carb was the only thing that had ever worked for me.
Yeah.
I wasn't one to eat a lot of vegetables. I didn't like a lot of vegetables. I grew up eating a lot of processed foods and eating out. My parents they worked a lot. They were very busy and they liked to eat out. So I'd had a poor diet and a lot of sugar and a lot of carbs. And so I did the best version of low carb that I could figure out to do, which still included a lot of processed food.
Mm.
But I still lost some weight. I still started
Yeah.
losing weight. And this was 2009. But that same year, as I'm just now beginning to lose weight, my mom got cancer.
Oh,
And I moved back in to care for her and my dad, who was a stroke patient. He was diabetic. I was pre diabetic at the time and didn't know. And my mom was terminal and she passed away. And within 6 weeks' time, I lost my mom. I got separated from my husband and became a full time living caregiver for my disabled dad.
oh my word.
And so my world kind of turned upside down. And I'd always battled depression and it hit me hard. But amazingly, I look back now and I go, I didn't regain the weight I'd lost. At the time, I was criticizing myself for not continuing to lose weight. That critical self talk was just so strong. But I continued to slowly lose. Some of that might have been depression. Um, but by the time 2015 came around, I was down 100 pounds, just struggling through, and I mean struggling through low carb. I wasn't consistent. I mean, I can look at our different stories, both sort of started in 2009. And the thing you did that I wish I had done is you found support. You found a tribe, which is what we have here. And I was just powering through it. I'm going to do this on my own. And yet the other side was beating myself up. And you can't encourage yourself when you're also kicking yourself.
Oh.
So it's hard to get that encouragement from yourself when all you know how to do is put yourself down. So you were smart and you got out there and you found help and you also helped others. So I encourage others to follow your example and not mine. Don't struggle through this alone.
Well, you're here now, right? You've got it now.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I found my tribe finally. It's just
Yeah.
taken a while. But I continued to, even though I'd lost weight, I still became diabetic. I ended up with high blood pressure. My mental issues continued, depression, anxiety, panic attacks. I went back to work in 2015. My dad had a massive stroke and I could no longer care for him at home. So I had to put him in a nursing home. And I beat myself up for that, that I was not capable. So just all the things that we do. I ended up working 2 jobs, 7 days a week. Still didn't regain the weight back, amazingly. I still had that 100-pound loss to hang on to, but it was hard. And I got sicker and I felt worse. I'd lost 100 pounds and I was feeling worse because I was not taking care of myself. I was stressed out all the time. And I didn't realize then how much stress affects you and affects your blood sugar.
Yeah.
And as someone who's been diabetic for a while now, and I still finger stick every day, I know when I get a poor night's sleep or when I'm highly stressed, I am not well. My blood sugar goes sky high. So 2020 hit and COVID hit, the pandemic, and I got really, really sick. I had been working long hours, eating poorly. I just wasn't taking care of myself. I was just so focused on work and the paycheck and trying to make ends meet. And I missed 7 weeks of work. I had COVID and viral arthralgia, which I've never heard of, but it's just a virus that attacks your joints. So I had all over joint pain. The only thing that didn't hurt were my fingers and my toes. So I had constant joint pain. Some of my joints felt like they were on fire. I couldn't sleep. I was forgetting to eat. The brain fog was terrible. I wasn't taking my medicine. I was home for a month before I even thought to tell people I'm home alone because I live alone. I don't have children. I was never able to have kids. So my siblings are a lot older and no one at the time lived near me. So I went back to work. I was not okay. I could barely walk. I couldn't hardly do my job. I had people around me helping me do my job. I was forgetting how to do my job.
Oh.
So I missed 4 months of work that year, 4 months of work the next year because I suffered long COVID. The joint pain continued, the brain fog, the fatigue. It was awful. And I was thinking, I'm going to end up disabled. I then watched my oldest brother, who was also diabetic and had other health issues, have a long illness and pass away. So here I am. It's March 2022, and I'm desperate. I think I'm next. I'm 56 years old. I'm going to be next. I've watched 4 other diabetic family members pass away, some with long illnesses, and some died young. And I was scared to death. That is when I found Dr. Ben Bigman and his book, Why We Get Sick. I love him.
I love him. I've been listening to him today. He had an interview. I've just had it on like throughout my day running errands. I love him.
Me too. I love him, and I credit him for helping me save my own life. I listened to his book and I read his book, and a lot of it was very technical and I had to listen or reread. But when I finally got through it, I came home that Saturday, cleaned out my fridge and pantry, just like threw huge garbage bag full of the food, box stuff, bottles, cans, all in the trash. I filled my trash can.
Awesome.
And then I had nothing left. And I went to the store and I bought a few frozen veggies, but I bought fresh meat, butter, some bacon, and that's what I started eating.
Great.
So overnight, I went from sort of a low carb standard American diet to all in on keto because I am not a moderator. I cannot do, family has always told me just a little of this, a little, I can't do a little sugar.
Nope.
A little sugar becomes all the sugar.
Yes.
I can't do it. So I knew I had to go all in. That first 2 weeks was miserable.
Yep.
But within 6 weeks, I was off my diabetes medication.
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Wow.
I was both excited and mad.
Yeah.
Someone hadn't told me that's all I had to do.
Yeah.
So I continued on. I did feel better after the first 2 weeks. I adjusted and just kept going. I lost about 30 pounds in the first 6 months.
Wow.
Which wasn't bad.
No, that's a nice rate. We expect about a pound per week, so that's good.
So I was off diabetes medication and lost 30 pounds and came off all my meds within the first 6 months.
Amazing.
My blood work was perfect. My triglycerides, HDL were perfect. My A1C was normal.
Wow.
All because I started eating real nutritious food.
Yeah.
Mostly meat. But in that same 6 months, I also just sort of fell into carnivore. If I didn't have to eat broccoli and cauliflower, why would I want to? And so I just sort of started not eating it.
Yeah.
And I actually had stopped eating it. And then as I was researching, following people on YouTube, I'm like, oh, carnivore. That's what I'm doing. I'm eating carnivore. I didn't know.
Right.
So I found Dr. Berry. I was following Dr. Bickman and found Dr. Berry through him. And then I found you through Dr. Berry. That was the first time I saw you. And I'm like, who is this crazy woman eating meat cookies all the time? What is wrong with her? But I quickly fell in love with you and started following you. I've actually been in 4 different groups. And I was in yours in 2024. But I've said I was lurking. I was not participating. I didn't even attend all the Zooms live. And I'm ashamed to say I didn't even watch all the replays. If you're not there live, you're not always going to watch that replay.
Yeah.
So that's why I tell people participate. Don't lurk. Speak up.
Yeah.
Ask for help. That's what we're here for. And
Exactly.
that's why I've also said, if you're going to pay Kelly for her advice, please take it.
Thank you for that.
Please take it. Please take her advice. I've had some other health issues, and that was part of the reason I came back this year. I had found out I'd had varicose veins since my teenage years. My mom had them really bad, and so mine started really young, probably because of my poor diet. I'm sure it was a combination of diet and genetics. But I found out that I had chronic venous insufficiency, and I needed 2 surgeries on my leg in May. And I thought, I'm going to rejoin Kelly's group. I'm going to go strict carnivore so I can get through these surgeries and have great healing. And I joined in May, and within 6 weeks after the 2 surgeries and being strict carnivore, I was down 22 pounds.
Wow. That's awesome.
That broke a 2-year stall for me. I've had long stalls over the years, and this one was really just inflammation. My body wasn't going to let go of any weight because I'd still been keto carnivore all this time.
Yeah.
But my body wasn't going to let that weight go. I had all that inflammation and fluid. So I'm down 27 pounds for the year. And people at work are noticing. They're telling me I look younger now than I did 5 years ago when I transferred there.
Wow.
They're asking me how I'm losing weight. And when I tell them, they're like, oh, I can't do that.
Yeah.
You actually could. You actually could. You have to kind of try. And I'm like, ease into it. Cut out some of the processed crap. Eat a little more meat.
Right.
You don't have to go. I had to go all in, but you
Yeah.
don't have.
Right.
That was the only thing that was going to work for me was just going all in. And I also have people ask me, "Don't you miss this? Don't you miss that?" And I talk about what you share. I don't have FOMO or fear of missing out. I have the JOMO, joy of missing out. I
Yeah.
have the joy of missing out on being on diabetes medication, being on high blood pressure medication, having chronic fatigue, having brain fog, having joint pain, having migraine auras, having tinnitus, having swelling. I have the joy of missing out on all those things. Why would I want to go back to the crap that made me feel that way?
Amen. Oh my gosh. Hey, everybody, you see why I needed her to come on here? This is why I pestered you so much, Sherry. Yes. So there are foods that I think we could both, if we had to, could make a list that, yeah, they were good. I kind of wish I could feel this good and eat those, right? That
Right.
wouldn't that be great? It just wasn't the case. So it's not that I'm immune to saying I kind of miss the taste of, but what we've gotten in return, while also now being able to eat really tasty meats and eggs and dairy, like, okay, that feels like an incredibly fair trade to me. I'll
Yeah.
take it. Yeah.
A lot of it has been a mindset shift for me. I was raised Southern Baptist.
Me too.
So food was always there. It was the center of everything you did. All these, carbs and homemade this and homemade that. It was all around. So celebrations were about food.
Yes.
Sadness was about food. Any emotion I had, good or bad, there was a food to go with that. And
Yes.
so food became a friend, someone to comfort me. But that friend was pretty evil and made me feel bad.
Right.
So I have learned to see that food is meant to be something that gives me nutrition and fuels my body so that I can enjoy life. Because I was not enjoying life when I was so sick. When I could barely get off before May, I was having trouble getting off my couch and was telling myself, I need a taller couch.
Oh,
I'm older. I need something tall and firm. I just can't do this low, comfy couch anymore. No, no, no. If you're in pain, you are ill.
yeah.
That is not a sign of aging. That is a sign of illness.
Yes.
And when I was having all this trouble with my leg, I'd had one doctor sort of blow me off. I should have got a second opinion because that pain was a sign that something was very wrong and I needed surgery.
Right.
So I finally got a young doctor to look at my leg, and it was just sort of I'm here for upper respiratory. Could you also look at my leg? And she sent me to a neurovascular surgeon.
Mm,
She
awesome.
changed my life for the better too. I don't have any trouble getting off my couch now. I spent 5 hours in my yard yesterday, bent over weeding, pulling weeds. I couldn't have done that in March or April. I was barely able to walk and go to work.
Yeah. I'm so happy for you feeling so much better. So what a list of things that have improved. I'm thrilled. Okay, I think I've heard you mention before that histamine intolerance has been a little bit a part of your story. How did you work around that? Has that gotten any better? Just talk to me about what that was like for you.
Well, I know a lot of people say have ground beef. That's one
Yes.
of the economical, good foods with a lot of nutrition in it. And I find if I have fresh ground beef, I do have a histamine reaction. Not super bad, but enough that I don't feel good. I don't feel as good. I don't feel my best. And my workaround for that is actually having meat cookies, those frozen beef patties. I can have those no problem, no reaction, but I can't tolerate at this point the fresh ground beef. I do have reactions to that.
If I get the red bag at Walmart myself, and I know some people are like, Walmart. I'm like, yes, it's beef. That's it. One ingredient, it's beef. And I'm like you, I feel amazing when I eat those. So what does a histamine reaction feel like for you? Is there any like itchiness, or is it just I just feel kind of tired and not as good?
It's a little of both. I get congested.
Okay.
I used to have really bad allergies, so I'll get a little congested. The same thing if I have a lot of heavy cream. I really limit heavy cream because I will be congested and puffy and just feel a little more fatigued.
Okay.
Still better than on sugar or carbs,
Yeah.
but just not the best I know I can feel.
Right. Okay. So whole cuts of meat like steak work fine for you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I on the regular, I really eat a limited diet. I was never much of a cook, and I prefer to be simple and easy. The air fryer is my friend, and
Yes.
sometimes the slow cooker. But I do eat some ribeye every week, and I find the cheapest I can find. And
Yep.
I don't need big cuts. Um, but I do eat pork. I eat a lot of chicken wings, and I eat some ribeye, sometimes New York strip, frozen burger patties, all beef hot dogs.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. My goal this month is to do a sardine fast.
Oh,
Never had sardines, but that's my goal.
okay.
I think I'm just going to make it like tuna salad, but with sardines, and
Okay.
start out that way.
All right. I'm curious. Have you eaten sardines, not as a fast, but just tried sardines?
No, they're sitting there in my kitchen cabinet right now, staring at me.
Okay. I have just,
I think my problem is seeing the little fish.
well, I love the skinless and the boneless. And honestly, it's very similar to tuna. I have eaten the ones with the little tails and scales and their spinal cords, and I can do it. I just don't prefer it. I know that there's more calcium in the ones with the skin and bones. The reason I ask if you've tried it yet, I wouldn't commit yet to a 3-day sardine fast until you make sure that you can handle the histamines because canned
Okay.
canned sardines, so if folks are listening, any meat that is canned, smoked, aged, leftovers, or even slow cooked. When you said slow cooker, I thought, okay, well, that's good that that works for you. Some people are really sensitive, so that one's fine. But if anybody's getting a negative reaction from anything in the crock pot or something that was cooked 2 or 3 days ago, some people can't even do grocery store beef. They have to do lamb because lamb is lower in histamines, and the whole cuts of lamb would be lower even than ground beef. Um, I'm trying to think if there are any histamine tips. Keep your fridge really cold. If it's summertime, I would take a cooler to the grocery store, put your meat in a nice cooler because the hotter it gets on the way home, the more histamines. So, but you have found workarounds that make you feel good. And it sounds like you don't have to go to any big extremes yet. That's good.
My grocery store is very close. In fact, I have a corner market where I like to buy the beef.
Yeah.
That's right around the corner for me. But I do avoid aged meats. Like I don't buy aged steak just
No.
because I don't even want to experiment with that yet. I know I have decades of poor eating and I have a lot of insulin resistance yet to resolve. When I initially went off my diabetes meds, my doctor said, "Well, you've reversed your diabetes." And I was like, "Oh, yay, whoopee." All that really means is my A1C had dropped.
Yeah.
What I quickly figured out, because I did like try this or try that, I'm like, no, my blood sugar goes right back up.
Yep.
So I now tell people that I am controlling my diabetes with the food I eat. I still finger stick every day, twice a day at least, sometimes more. Sometimes more if I'm like testing out what a food is doing to me. So I know that sleep affects my numbers, stress affects my numbers, and certain foods affect my numbers. And if I were to just go back to eating whatever I wanted to eat again, the standard American high carb, processed junk food diet, I would be diabetic within 6 weeks again.
Right.
So I tell myself and I tell others I'm controlling my diet because that's what I'm doing.
Yes.
May be reversed on my medical chart because my A1C is low enough, but I know I'm still very insulin resistant.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the idea also of controlled because you're right. I would instantly get my old issues back if I went back to the way I was eating. I haven't necessarily cured all of
Right.
that. I have just learned how to manage inflammation. Am I inflamed? No. Could I be again? Of course. Right? I know that my old issues and your old diabetes could come right back if we stop doing what we're doing. And some people say that like it's a negative thing. They'll say it only works as long as you do it. I'm like, isn't that true with most everything? That is motivating to me. That's why I keep doing it, because you're right. It only works as long as you do it. All right, Sherry. So I have people in the groups who sometimes say, I get my best results. I feel my best and I lose weight my best. I look my best and sleep my best when I follow, and they'll say a certain macro. Sometimes that means high fat carnivore, which I typically consider about 80% of total calories coming from fat or higher. Sometimes they'll say, when I lower my fat percentage, I get all my best results. And I typically consider a pretty lean carnivore diet to be about 60% of total calories from fat. And then everywhere in between, like Dr. Chafee talks about a 1-to-1 ratio. For every gram of protein, you eat a gram of fat. So that's about 70-30. I'm just curious where you find that it works the best, or are you all over the place?
I'm a little bit all over the place. 60-40 is too low for me. I definitely
Same.
don't, I definitely don't feel my best there. 75-25 or 80-20, I find I have more energy and just feel better at
Yes.
that higher fat.
Yeah.
I was never one who thought I would like a lot of fat. I don't have a gallbladder. I know you don't either.
No.
So I kind of had to work up to it a bit. But I have no trouble eating a very high fat diet. In fact, feel great, have great bowel movements.
Yep.
Something that I struggled with my entire life was
Oh,
constipation. I
yes.
went to the doctor many times as a kid for being impacted.
Oh,
So that was never fun.
no.
And nobody likes to talk about these things, but when you can just go to the bathroom, that's like angels are singing. It should always be like this. My
Yeah.
whole life, it was a struggle, and suddenly, the gates of heaven have opened.
Right. Oh,
I
I
mean,
love that for both of us so much. It's great.
that's one of those things that people think, oh, don't talk about that. But
Yeah.
it's a real struggle.
Yeah.
And when you're struggling there, you are not healthy and you are not feeling good and you have no energy.
Right. I agree. So I have had times over the last 15 years when I have tried a leaner version of carnivore. In fact, one time I actually got myself pretty sick. This was right before I found a tribe. I was out there trying to do it by myself. And around 2008, where I found my people in 2009, about a year before that, I thought, I've cut out the carbs and that's worked really well. And now I'm stalled. I bet if I lowered my fat, and that did help the scale move. And I was like, oh, I figured it out. I know people watching now are like, really? But I didn't have YouTube to watch. I didn't know a single other person doing this. So I cut my fat way down. Oh, I felt so lousy. I mean, like my constipation came back. My energy dropped. I got really dark, sunken, like circles under my eyes. It was not good. Anxiety, depression came back. And I thought, but at least the scale is moving. So for me, about 60% is about as low as I want to go. And there have been times over the last 15 years where I kind of crave that protein and that feels good. But like you, I'm currently right now where 75, 80, or sometimes even more feels great to me right now. So cool. So if anybody's watching and you're like, but what are the exact macros for weight loss? That's not a thing. Like,
Right.
it depends who you are, what stage you're at, what your hormones are needing right now. There are some things that are universals, but
Right.
macros are not one of them. It's just
Yeah.
not. No.
Mine could change from day to day.
Yes.
It might be 70-30 today and 80-20 tomorrow.
Yeah. I
So,
agree completely. And we are speaking as two women who are feeling good, who have dropped 130 and 150, 155 pounds. And we are here to tell you we did not lose that combined. That's a lot of weight if you put that together for us. And we didn't do it on the same macros every day. No, agreed. Sherry, I don't remember if we've talked about this, just me and you in the groups before, but I do a lot of talking in the groups about breaking a stall with what we call metabolic reset days. And there's a whole laundry list of them. And I've put out a video here about it before, but I'm curious, have you experimented with any of those?
I have. I really thought I would do things like egg fasting or things like that. But what I really, really love to do, and this is from someone who loved water fasting when I started keto.
Oh,
And I think I loved it so much because it gave me a sense of control. I mean, my whole life I felt out of control with carbs and sugar. And suddenly I would go periods where I just wasn't hungry. And I'm like, okay, let's just water fast. It felt good to have that sense of control over the food. And I also think my gut just needed that time, that downtime.
yeah.
It had decades of just nonstop junk in it. And it was just like, woo, taking a breather. Give
Yeah.
me some water, give me some hydration. But now my favorite thing to do is to fat fast. And I know that sounds crazy to
Not
people who are like, but you still have fat to lose. You've got fat on your body. Why would you do that? Because when I eat nothing but fat, my blood sugar does not rise,
That's right.
which means insulin is not shooting into my body to tell that fat to be stored. And Dr. Ben Bickman had a video recently where he talked about this, how what's happening in the body, and I'm not going to explain it like he does, but what's happening in the body is that your fat cells are basically just wasting heat. And he's like, that's just another way to slowly burn off the fat because that fat's not being utilized. The insulin's not kicking in to say store this, so it's just wasting heat.
Yeah. I saw an interview with him recently with Dave Asprey, and they were talking about various fasting. And he said his favorite always was water fasting. I know at one point he's also been a big fan of bone broth fasting, but he said, and Dave Asprey agreed, and he says, based on himself and thousands of people that he has watched and researched and worked with, they both agreed that fat fasting is the most effective when it comes to weight loss, when it came to getting into ketosis, when it came to getting glucose down. He said it is fasting mimicking. But then Nick Norwitz just put a big video out about fat fasting too. And he also said there's this other benefit, which is because the FGF21 hormone is so upregulated that our metabolism goes into turbo boost. There's a whole nother reason that people likely lose weight when they do it. And I am a fan too. I've watched people who eat. People are saying, "What is a fat fast?" I want to be clear. It doesn't mean you're fasting from fat. It
Right.
means you're only eating fat. Typically, people will do it for 24 hours. I've had some people go longer. You may have heard some folks, and maybe you had a concern. I did at first, which was, but we're not getting enough amino acids from the protein. We're not getting enough protein because you're getting no protein on
Right.
those days.
I don't even think about that because I know it's not like I'm never going to eat protein again.
Yeah.
And I also have heard others say, like Dr. Bickman, that as your body is going through autophagy and you're breaking down proteins,
Yes.
your body is smart. Our body is designed to be so intelligent. It will reuse what it can.
Yes.
Some of that protein will be rebuilt and reused.
Right. And in that interview, Dr. Bickman and Dave Asprey talked about how being in a ketogenic state has been shown in study after study that it is not just muscle sparing, it is actually muscle enhancing, that the fibers of muscles became stronger when they're in ketosis. So I think we all know that if you eat a lot of protein and amino acids while also lifting weights, you can build muscle. I mean, that's how bodybuilders do it, right? They're eating tons, traditional bodybuilders. You're eating tons of protein, you're getting lots of leucine, and you're giving your muscle a stimulus so you can build muscle. But then there's this other camp that says, well, as long as you are also stimulating, because it's going to require stimulation to build a muscle, right? There's nothing on your plate that's going to suddenly make you like, boop, boop, boop. Okay. But if you're,
I,
yeah, Popeye, oh, unless it's spinach, haha, we're just kidding. Okay.
No spinach.
Spinach required. But if you're not getting the leucine from amino acids, but you are in ketosis and you are also getting plenty of overall fuel, some would call that calories. You're getting plenty of overall fuel and stimulating your muscle. There are plenty of ketogenic bodybuilders who are also growing muscle. So I love the fact that there are so many people who are giving this a try. We're using body composition scales, we're getting DEXA scans, we're seeing body fat come off. My brain feels like, woo, when I'm on a fat fast. And I know when I check, my ketones are nice and high, my glucose is low. So I'm glad that's working for you.
Well, I also do not just a whole day fat fast. I usually do that once or twice a week because
Yeah.
just it makes me feel so good and it's just so easy.
So easy.
It's just so easy, especially when I'm having to commute to work and go to work, and it just is super easy for me. But I'll also like fat fast through 2 meals maybe and then do an OMAD with protein.
Oh, yes. I've been experimenting a little with that too, Sherry, or have a fat fast in the AM, give it a few to several hours before my last meal, and then have some protein for dinner. Some people say if their ketones get too high in the evening, and I've had this experience too, they can't sleep. So that protein in the evening helps bring it down a little so that they sleep better. And you can still get positive results doing that.
I have gone down in inches doing that.
That's
So I know the fat fasting is a benefit, whether I see the scale move or not. When I'm still going down, I went down another pant size. So
That's so cool. And people need to hear that. The scale does not show you if it's fat unless you're using a body comp scale that you trust. It's just showing overall weight. You don't know if you're building muscle. I'm just curious, has exercise been a part of your journey or not so much?
the first 100 plus pounds, maybe the first 115, 120, is zero exercise.
Huh.
It was just food.
Yeah,
Because 350 and 5'5", I got winded just walking through my house.
sure.
So there was no exercising going on. And my job is very physical. I do a lot of heavy lifting. So I hadn't been doing a lot of deliberate exercise until I really started back with your group in May. And now I'm trying to make sure that I do 10 minutes of something because it's hard for me. I don't like to sit still. So on our Zoom calls on Monday night, I'm on my treadmill. So I'm on my I'm on my walking pad. I've tried to get on my rebounder, but I figured that's distracting me bouncing up and down. So I'm on my walking pad, or I've been on my exercise bike because I just think this is an hour. I got to be doing something.
Yes.
But I try to get 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. I do my counter push-ups. I do squats while I'm in the kitchen. I do it at work. Like if there's just a moment where sometimes the machinery shuts down where I'm at, and that means I'm sitting doing nothing for a little bit. So I'll get up and I'll do some counter push-ups. And I know some of my coworkers are like, "What is she doing?" I'm like, "I'm moving."
Yes.
So I get in movement everywhere I can. I don't wear a Fitbit or anything that tracks my steps anymore. I just am not worried about that because I know I'm so active.
Yeah.
I spent 5 hours yesterday out in the garden weeding, and woke up this morning. I was like, "Oh yeah, I feel the burn."
Yeah.
But it's that burn, and it's so exciting to be able to do it because last summer it all went to weeds. I couldn't get out there and do anything. I
Mm.
struggled just to get to work. So it's life changing to be able to go out and live your life and not feel restricted.
Yeah. I'm curious, are you a moderator or an abstainer when it comes to sweet taste? I know there are some folks who can have diet sodas and flavored electrolytes. I'm not one of them, but where do you stand on that?
I was the one in May who said I was going off diet soda because I was drinking almost a 2 liter a day. And
Oh,
had done that forever. I
wow.
was so addicted to diet soda. And I found out before the surgery I wasn't supposed to have caffeine. And I know I was getting caffeine from that diet soda.
Sure.
So I said, I'm just going to quit. I tried to quit many, many times. And so I gave it up. I have now been diet soda free since May 3rd.
Wow.
zero diet soda since May 3rd. And the first 2 weeks was rough because I
Yeah.
was sleepy. But
Yeah.
I don't do caffeine anymore. I've never been a coffee drinker. So I have no caffeine, and that's best for the health of the veins in my legs because of the chronic venous insufficiency. And so everything now is about health for me. Before 2022, it was always dieting for weight loss. And since then, that mindset shift is I am eating for health.
Yeah.
I am eating for health. So I don't do diet soda anymore. And that stopped all the food noise. All the cravings for sweet taste
Yes.
went away. So I can still see things and think, oh, yeah, I used to love that. But I know how that's going to make me feel. So I don't want that anymore. I'm one who uses seasonings. I don't have any problem with seasonings.
Yeah.
So when I say strict carnivore, I mean strict for me. I'm going to use seasonings. I use tallow. I use butter. I use avocado oil. I use lard.
Yep.
No seed oils, no soy. I don't allow anything. I found something in my refrigerator yesterday that had soy in it. I hadn't used it in forever. And I'm like, why is it still here? It went
Yeah.
straight in the trash.
Awesome. Yeah. I love what you said. I'm not strict, but I'm strict for me. I've never heard anybody say it quite like that. So there are some people who would consider me a not strict carnivore because I do still have decaf coffee, seasonings, cream, and I'm trying to think. Oh, and I use the flavored but not sweetened seltzers like Waterloo. Okay,
I drink the Waterloo too. That was what I got instead of the diet soda.
Oh, great. Yeah, I think that's a wonderful swap. We talked in class this week about making a swap instead of saying, I'm going to stop, say, okay, I'm going to swap from the diet to
Right.
and so I handle those just fine too. And because of those things, some people would say, oh, she's not a strict carnivore. When I think of myself, first of all, I don't really like the word strict because that sounds very negative to me, but I am incredibly consistent with what I know works for me. In that way, some people might say strict, more like very regimented. Since I know I can't tolerate diet sodas, I never have diet sodas. Since
Right.
I know I can have Waterloo, I
Right.
do have the Waterloo. So I like that distinction. We are strict or consistent for what we know works for
Right.
us. Yeah.
And when I say strict for me, I see that as a positive because that means I have set boundaries for my
Mm,
I've set boundaries for myself, and diet soda, you're not welcome. I've got a guard standing at the gate and he's not welcoming you in.
yeah.
And I have to do that to protect my health. It's not I'm not denying myself anything. I can have anything I wanted, but
Yep.
I also know how those things are going to make me feel, and I don't want what comes with them.
Right. I like that. So sometimes we think strict as in I'm following people's strict rules for myself. I don't really care what people's rules are for me. We're setting boundaries. That's a great reframe. I am consistently following the boundaries that I set that allow me to feel my best. Oh,
Yes.
oh, that's good. It's good. Well, Sherry, my friend, I really feel that I could talk to you for hours. And frankly, we have. We've spent a long time on Zoom together in the past. I have my son's soccer game that is, well, it starts in 3 minutes, but it's okay to miss kickoff. I'm just curious if you have anything that you would like to tell people before we go, whether you have any words of encouragement or anything that I didn't ask that you think I should have.
Well, I would just encourage people to find your tribe, whether it's Kelly's group or someone else's group. I tried 4 different groups until I found the one that fit for me. And for me, it was Kelly's commitment to her love for Christ and knowing that she prays for us when we join and she prays for us during the week and that we end our Zoom meetings in prayer. And that connection is powerful. And she prayed for me before we even did this Zoom tonight. So find your tribe. Don't do this alone. You don't have to feel alone. Be part of a group. Sometimes I may reach out and help someone else in our group, and sometimes I may reach out with a question because I need help. We're all there to support one another. And Kelly, I love your group because you have your handbook, which honestly, the last year, I barely looked at that thing. So I encourage people, look through it. I'm diving through it now. There's so much good information. You've helped thousands of people. You're sharing your knowledge with us. You're giving us a roadmap to follow. Just about anything we could have a question about, we can go to that handbook before we go to YouTube or Google, if we just remember to use that wonderful resource that you have for us. So I appreciate you. I thank you for your encouragement. If you hadn't encouraged me to do this, I wouldn't be here right now. So, but I just had committed to myself to be more visible and to be more open and to participate because I want to get help and I want to be a help.
Well, I can almost guarantee that right now, people watching, in fact, if you are watching and you feel like this was helpful. I appreciated the part about the histamines or about the sweet taste or the macros or just your testimony of what carnivore has changed for you. Go say hi to Sherry in the comments. Tell her thank you. It's not easy to just put your whole business out on YouTube and to feel like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if this will be well received, but I am grateful for you. And one of the greatest gifts that we can ever give someone is hope. When things are hard, to say I was there. When during that first 2 weeks of the sugar withdrawals, to say I remember it gets better. When somebody's having histamine issue, I know, me too. Let me tell you what helped. It gets better. That hope is priceless. So thank you for being a beacon of hope today, Sherry. And I look forward to seeing you in class Monday.
Thank you, Kelly.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye, Sherry. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. That was fantastic. I'm so proud of you.